So, interesting combination of readings. What does the three little pigs have to do with Forest Church's beautiful metaphor of the cathedral of the world? Well, everything. It's all about the house of personal theology that you construct for yourself. That first thrill of Unitarian Universalism lies in discovering your own power. Having a church affirm that you have the right to discard whatever does not fit your worldview, and you are free to explore that vast cathedral of thought about ultimate reality. As UU minister A. Powell Davies wrote, "Why should any of us be confined within a single area of religious culture? When I read Amos and Jeremiah, I say, would to God I were a Jew. When I read the parable of the Good Samaritan, I say, would I were a Galilean. When I read the 13th of 1 Corinthians, I wish with all my heart that I might be a Christian after the manner of the Apostle Paul. When I think of Buddha and his eightfold path, I say, I too would be a Buddhist. And when I remember the trial of Socrates, I say in awe but with exalted spirit, oh, that I might be so brave a humanist. And thus, at the end, there is nothing I can say but that, like Emerson and Channing, I want to live with the privilege of the illimitable mind." The privilege of the illimitable mind. The challenge is that we are often the little pig who would rather be out having fun than building his house. So we build a theological house of straw. I've heard Unitarian Universalism described as a religion where you take what you like and leave the rest. This is freedom, but it's freedom without responsibility. And we promote, as we say in our principles, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. It is important work that we do, building an examined faith. Because in all of our lives, the big bad wolf is going to come calling. It may be something personal, an illness, a death, a divorce, or it may be something outside of ourselves, like 9/11, or a war, or a hurricane. Our hearts are hurting, and our minds are swirling with questions. We want to understand why, and what's the purpose of it all. If you have a house of straw, or even sticks, and this is something I have to personally confess to. When the big bad wolf comes, your entire theological house can be swept away, and you're left with nothing. And it's at those times that you need it most. I think this is something that happened to John Lennon. The Beatles had gone through a hateful breakup. He had numerous personal losses. He was bitter and disillusioned. On his first solo album, he wrote the song, God. God is a concept by which we can measure our pain. I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in I Ching. I don't believe in Bible. I don't believe in tarot. He goes on and on, all the things that he no longer believes in, both secular and spiritual. I don't believe in Jesus, Kennedy, Buddha, yoga, Beatles. He sings, I just believe in me, Yoko and me. The dream is over. It's a complete stripping away of everything. Well, some of us have to do that. We've constructed houses of straw, taking the things that sounded good, ignoring the things we're not interested in or don't like. The big bad wolf comes to our door, and everything we believe is all blown away, and we have to start all over again from scratch. But there is a better way. Unitarian theologian James Luther Adams said, "An unexamined faith is not worth having, for it can be true only by accident. Faith worth having is a faith worth discussing and testing. Now, an examined faith does not mean just ignoring the things we don't like. An examined faith is not only characterized by what we reject, but by what we embrace and what we put into practice. To go and feed the hungry is a good thing. To know and understand what is the greater meaning deep in your soul that drives you to feed the hungry or march for the rights of the immigrant will give you the strength to continue when you face setbacks and failures. And unless you're playing it too safe, you'll face those. But your theology will feed your actions and vice versa. Systematically engaging with the deep issues helps you to form a fully examined faith. And you'll discover not only what you believe, but who you are. Writer Michael E. Duffy describes a process for doing this, a process that will lead to being able to claim a personal faith conviction on a given issue. You identify your issue, examine why you care about it, what you currently believe, you explore other beliefs about it, and then you discover what happens when you live it. So first, identify your issue. This can be something you're curious about, or something that is affecting you at this point in your life. You may be at a pivotal point in your life where things that you are witnessing are calling you to abandon certain beliefs in order to find authentic ones. Second step, we need to examine why we care about the issue. Why do we have a horse in this race? If our identity might be wrapped up in it, why? What is it about this issue that we are called to reflect on it now? So, third step, you articulate your current convictions about the issue. And you can't, as I wanted to, simply sum it up as, I'm against it. Gotta go deeper. This is the raw material that you have to work with. The scientific method parallel is to construct a working hypothesis. You're finding your starting point. And now it's time for the real work. Take your starting point and enter into conversation about it with conversation partners. Now, a conversation partner need not be another person, and this is where we're going to go back into Forrest Church's metaphor of the cathedral of the world. But this time, we're not just admiring the pretty stained glass. We're going to go looking for specific windows. Conversation partners are religious texts, world religions, theologians and philosophers, your experiences, reason, and ethics. And we need to look at a combination of these. Let me be blunt about why I believe that conversation partners are a necessary, required part of examining our faith. We must have the humility to understand that no human possesses absolute truth, including us. For religious fundamentalists, the tendency is to make the Bible the sole authority on truth. God said it, I believe it, that settles it. Not a whole lot of room for growth there. But we are just as dangerous if we decide that our sole authority on truth is us. This just feels right to me. Means that we are limiting wisdom to our individual experience, and it means that we have no spiritual accountability. We have to be willing to consider other ideas and philosophies, not just those who support our starting contention on an issue. We have to look around the cathedral of the world at all the windows, not just those with our favorite colors. So then I went to our last step, application. Discover what kind of world is created when you live out your new commitments. We have to test our new belief and see if it works. Will we be better persons for having this belief? Will it serve us well, or will it hold us back? What kind of world will we help create when we live out this new faith conviction? We have to ask, will believing this contribute to a life well lived for all people? If everyone believed this, what would it mean for the world? Because the the best thing for me individually might not be the best thing with the world. We have to realize that, yes, we are individuals, but we are also a part of the body of humanity, the interdependent web of existence. What we believe will or should guide our actions. Our actions affect others, and they affect this planet. We are not just building a theological house for our own sake. We are building what will house our soul so that we are spiritually empowered to engage with the world we live in. And so that when we go out into that world, standing on the side of love, we know why it is that we do so.